Oh gosh, I love this question more than any question you've asked me. For me, my relationship with the divine, and I call it the divine or spirit, because I've explored so many meanings of that name, is my closest relationship in my entire life. And when life is heavy, when I'm worried about my daughter, or I'm worried about a client, or something in my life feels chaotic. Like right now, it's overwhelming. I have a lot of clients. I'm writing a book. I've got a membership. I'm, I just got married last year and I love my husband and I love our time together, but I'm overwhelmed. And that quiet time really helps me calm my nervous system, and it allows me to talk to the divine and say, look, I'm stressed. And this is heavy and this is a lot. And there's times in that moment, in that quiet time, where I'll just cry. And I let myself be as sensitive as I want to be. I let myself be worried about somebody and ask God to take that. Or I let myself be angry about a situation that I have resentment with. And usually when I'm resentful and really angry, I cry. So it is the place where I feel the absolute safest.
Well, hello, friends of Bill W. and other friends. You have landed on Sober Speak. My name is John M. I am an alcoholic, and we are glad you are all here, especially newcomers. Newcomers, that is, both to recovery as a whole and newcomers to this podcast. Sober Speak is a podcast about recovery centered around the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. My job here on Sober Speak is simple. My job is to provide a platform to the amazing stories of recovery all around us. Consider Sober Speak, if you will, your meeting between meetings. Please remember, we do not speak for AA or any 12-step community. We represent only ourselves. We are here to share our experience, strength, and hope with those who wish to come along for the ride. Take what you want and leave the rest at the curb for the trash man to pick up. Greetings from Studio AA, deep in the heart of Texas. That was the voice of our featured guest this week, Paula Robbins, that you heard at the beginning of this episode, and you are going to hear so much more from her in just a moment. But first things first, this episode is made possible by Tim and Laura and Brad. And so you ponder, you ask yourself, what exactly did Tim and Laura and Brad, what were they up to that got their names on the beginning of this episode? Well, they went to our humble little website, www.soberspeak.com. They clicked on the donation tab and they made a contribution. So thank you so much, Tim and Laura and Brad. This here episode number 420 with Paula, is coming right out to Ewan's. But just real quick about little happenings in my week, and that is earlier, I think it was a Saturday night, we got a call from my daughter, and she was in just incredible pain. And I haven't asked her if I could talk about this, so I don't want to talk about the exact ailment. But the short story is we had to end up, actually, the lovely Mrs. M went to the emergency room with her. And then after that, she ended up coming back here and spending a few days with us because she was just in so much pain. And so, fortunately, it was just a few days and she's much better and she's at home now. And we've been praying with her and talking with her. And I just, it was kind of interesting, though, to have her back at home for a few days. She's 22 years old. And to be able to take care of her again like she was our little sweet girl. And she's still a sweet girl. I should say, like she was our little baby girl. She's not a baby girl anymore, very much a grown woman, but it was interesting. I absolutely loved having her at home and spending time with her, even though I wish it wasn't in that way for that reason, but that's it. All right. So, all right, this is part 2 to Paula's interviews that we're doing. We had another one with her last week. That was part 1, hitchhiking into recovery. And this is part 2, hitchhiking into recovery. And I want to let you know, I have some people who write in sometimes and they go, well, I want exactly what I hear in an AA meeting, just kind of get to it. And I understand that, but I want to let you know, if that's what you're hoping to hear today, this one's coloring a little bit outside the lines. We definitely talk about some things you hear within the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous, but I absolutely love this interview. And I wanted to put it on for everybody to hear. So, but if you want to hear something a little more straight and narrow, AA-ish, if you will, why don't you listen to one of my 400 plus other episodes? That's what I would highly advise. So anyway, this one is called Paula Robbins, as I told you, part 2, Hitchhiking into Recovery. Paula is from Centennial, Colorado. And in this, we talk about her book that she has written. And within the book, Hitchhiking into Recovery, there are what she calls 4 pillars of connection. Those include community, mentorship, daily alignment with the divine, and service. We also talk about the acronym PRAY, P-R-A-Y, what that means. We discuss frequency music, the definition of the word metaphysical. I was very interested in that. What it means to have an active step 11, and much, much more. And I will put everything that we talk about in terms of links and such in the show notes. And if you don't remember that, just send me an email at johnjohn@soberspeak.com, and I will get you on over to Paula. I think there was something else I wanted to say, but now I can't remember exactly what it is. So anyway, we will have plenty listener feedback at the end of this episode. Enjoy. Okay, everybody, so we are back, and this time I have a little bit more energy with Miss Paula R. The last time we spoke with Paula, I had just been hypnotized. No joking around there. I had been hypnotized, and I was feeling a little bit lethargic coming out of it, and we talked about that experience. So first things first, Paula, why don't you go ahead, introduce yourself, give your sobriety date if you wish, and tell people where you live in this great land of ours, please.
I am Paula Robbins. I am in Centennial, Colorado, and I got sober February 6th, 1988.
All right, and so we established a Centennial is right outside of Denver for those listening in. So last time last time we were on the podcast, we recorded an episode. We talked about Paula's background as a metaphysical hypnotherapist. We talked about synchronicities. I loved that word. I remember that one. We talked about her being a cafe diner, having a corporate career as well. What we did with cellular repressive therapy. Is that what it's called?
Cellular release therapy.
Cellular release. I'm so sorry. And we talked about what she does for a living, and she is into so many things, and she does a great job. I can absolutely tell you that hypnotherapist session that I had was absolutely fantastic. And then we talked about her hitchhiking around the U.S., which led into, and that's why I wanted to get you back on again today and talk about your new book coming up. What's the name of the new book?
It's called Hitchhiking into Recovery, a journey of connection, healing, and hope.
All right. So Let's talk about that. I know that it references the four pillars of connection, but what do you want to say about the book? What prompted you to write the book? What kind of pull did you feel? Where was that coming from?
So I've wanted to write a book for a long time. I started writing as a very young person in a journal. And as a young person, I knew how much I loved writing. As I got older and as I've been through two successful careers that I really love, um, as I've been able to live this incredibly cool path of recovery for as many years, my hope in writing the book was to impact other people who may be struggling with their addiction or their alcoholism, people who struggle with substance abuse. I wanted to put a message out there that we do recover, that you can overcome things that may feel hopeless or may feel really, really stuck, that we can break through. And one of the premises of my recovery, which it kind of really came clear on probably about 10 years ago, were the four pillars of connection. That is connecting to a community, connecting to a mentor or sponsor, connecting to a power greater than yourself with daily divine alignment, and a connection to serving others. If you have those four pillars of connection in place, there is no question that you are going to have not only a sound recovery, but a very grounded life that you're proud of.
Okay, repeat those four pillars for me again.
There is connection to a community, connection to a mentor, daily connection in divine alignment, and connection in service to others.
That is so runs right in line with what we read at the end of the podcast when we kind of do page 164. And I love it. So let's dive into those. Is that okay? So the first one is a connection to a community, right?
Mm-hmm.
So explain to me what you mean by that. I may get it in general, but what's important for you in terms of connection to a community?
When you are struggling, if you can find a community of like-minded people who are on a path of healing, and in my walk, that was 12-step program people. And for others, I've seen them find that community through church, through their yoga circle, through different other forms of metaphysical or spiritual groups. But community is very, very powerful when you are connected with people of like mind towards a positive end. Like, I want to be healthy. I want to live a good, prosperous life that I'm proud of. So in recovery, that community is pretty easy to find.
It is. So, and where do you see other people being successful with that community? Well, you just talked about it, yoga, but I guess there's so many places when somebody comes to you and they ask you, well, where do I find this community? I would imagine some of your patients or students, they will ask you the same basic question. Do you tell them to pray about it? How do you find that community?
It depends on your intention, but a lot of the people that come to me, one, I've worked with tons and tons of people in recovery. So, of course, my heart and community is with the 12-step programs. So I will, of course, steer them in that direction. But I support any program of recovery, quite honestly. There's a lot of programs that are not 12 steps, that have community, that have group meetings, that have gatherings where they either hike or they discuss or, you know, there's groups that go to the gym that are recovery groups. So it's pretty vast in how you can find a community of healthy, like-minded people who are also clean and sober, but a community of people who want to learn yoga, a community of people who want to grow in their metaphysical or intuitive abilities. There's several groups out there. One of my favorite is awkwardlyzen.com. They're an online membership of some of the coolest people who are all kind of into metaphysics and spirituality and intuition, and they're global. you know? So they have a lot of in-person events here in Denver, gratefully, but things like that. So there's so many, so
Okay,
many.
so help me understand the term metaphysical. I've heard it many times before.
Mhm.
It's kind of a little bit nebulous. I guess it's like saying higher power, right? It can mean different things to different people, but I don't know. Like, what do you mean when you say the term metaphysical?
So the simple fun term is let's go get into the woo-woo.
Right.
It's the spirituality and kind of the science in a way combined. So metaphysics is a big word, and it goes into energy. It goes into the power of the mind. It goes into the power of faith and the spirit. It goes into the kind of connections in quantum physics and quantum science. So it's pretty vast and not very easy really to explain, but it's kind of spirituality with a lot of other tangible evidence.
Yeah, and my understanding is that Bill and Bob were into the metaphysical world, right? I've been told that by many people. If I'm wrong, somebody out there, you could just email me and tell me I'm fine with that. But that's what I understand is that they were into the metaphysical world, right? And I noticed that before we did our hypnotherapy session, which you guided me through and we talked about last time, you asked me the night before, which I had never been asked this before, and you said, "Do you have?" What'd you say about the 11th step, or do you have an active 11th step, or
Mhm.
something? How did you phrase that? Do you remember?
That's exactly what I asked. Do you have an active 11th step in which you every day move into a state of prayer and meditation to get closer to your divinity?
And I passed the test. I'm just kidding. It wasn't a test, but and I think will you tell me why did you want to know that before we did our session? What difference does it make?
Great question, John. So, if somebody is connected every day in their inner world, in prayer, in meditation with the divine, there's meditation just to focus on your breath and be still, and there's meditation to connect more richly with your divinity. There's different levels of meditation. There's different levels of prayer. But if somebody has an active step 11 or an active daily practice of quiet time with the divine, I call it daily divine alignment, then they are much more apt to have a successful hypnotherapy session. Because in hypnosis, we are going into the inner mind. With metaphysical hypnosis, we're definitely tapping into the spirit and the soul information that the subconscious is really attuned to. And the subconscious can get there, but if somebody struggles with getting quiet, if somebody struggles with that prayer state or meditation, if they tell me, no, I don't have a daily practice, then basically I just ask them to listen to some of my guided meditations a few times to help them learn to slow down the mind, to get quiet, to kind of practice at that quiet time before the first live session. So that's why I ask.
Yeah, and by the way, I did. You asked me if I would listen to that, and I did, and it was called, oh, what was it called? Sleep, breathing in the light. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. That was very good. In fact, and we'll tell people, I'm going to put links in the show notes so you know how people can access this, and we'll let them know, what your website is and all that sort of stuff so they can go seek it out. But you got some good stuff, Paula. I'm impressed with it. Very, very impressed. It helped to put me to sleep last night, breathing in the light. I loved it. So, all
Cool.
right, so that's one pillar. The second pillar was a connection with a mentor, right? Which
Mhm.
in 12 steps we would probably call a sponsor. But there you can have other mentors that aren't sponsors, right? There's a lot of people who are or who are mentors.
Well, and sponsors are mentors, but they're mentors who walk with you, not just mentors who've walked before you. So The differential between a mentor and a sponsor is a mentor is typically somebody who's been on the walk before and they're kind of guiding you on how to do it. A sponsor is somebody who's been on the walk before, but they're walking with you. They're doing it together, and they're also kind of gaining the benefit. I mean, I still sponsor a lot of women, and I can tell you that when we talk about the steps, when we meet, when we do a fifth step or we go through an 11th step or a third step together, I definitely benefit from walking with them on that path. So the connection to a mentor I think it's kind of a given. When you connect with another soul who's walked a path that you are intending, I want to recover, I want to get more fit, I want to get healthier, whatever it may be. I want to, gain more financial security with investments. A mentor is incredibly beneficial to connect with, get to know, deepen a relationship with for the value of your intention.
That's very interesting. And I want to ask you a question that's a little bit of we talked about last time. I'm throwing you a little bit of a curveball that you had originally started doing some of this hypnosis for weight management, and that's where you decided to start doing this full time. I did whatever you were going in there for at that time. Did it help? What was your experience with that?
It did help. The type of hypnosis that I did in 2006, I lost like 17 pounds in 6 weeks. It was pretty rapid. However, I gained it all back and then some. And what that led to was a deeper awareness that my subconscious is capable of attuning in to weight loss. But I had some deeper stuff. Some of the trauma of my childhood, some of the trauma of my life and my self abuse was really, really coming up. And that's when I recognized, yes, I want to be a hypnotherapist, but I want to specialize in trauma. I want to help people with addiction and recovery. And those are my primary clients, people who I know have heavy trauma that they need to release, and people who have, you know, struggle with addiction or recovery. So that's been a really prevalent part of my client base. Although I'll add, weight loss is the number one request for hypnotherapists. And there's not one person out there struggling with weight loss or with excess weight, I should say, that does not understand that there's much more to it than I need to lose weight. Every one of them knows I have some issues behind my weight that need to be faced. And that was my biggest awakening in the beginning of my hypnotherapy career. But this goes deep.
So I'm real curious about this is when, okay, I don't know if you can answer the kind of questions I'm about to ask, but I'm going to ask them anyway, just because it comes up with me. If you have 10 people that come in, either men or women, and they have excess weight and they want you to take them through some sort of metaphysical hypnotherapy, uh, what's a success rate like? And how do you measure success?
What a great question. First, let me say that the success rate, just on average, people who want to lose weight, I'm going to give it probably a 50 to 60% if that's their only focus. But the vast majority of them shift their focus. I
They
want to get
shift
rid of
what?
the trauma, their focus.
Yeah.
From I don't want to just lose weight. I want to lose my trauma. I want to lose my not good enough. I want to lose the deprivation and the scarcity and the emptiness that's in my body that's causing me to hold the weight. So it turns into a much, much deeper body of work than I want to lose weight. People really awaken to the depths of the wounds that are upon their soul. I want to heal my soul, not just my body.
And do they, generally speaking, have to go like 3 sessions, 10 sessions, 100? Is everybody different? How does that work?
Everybody is different. I would say the therapy that I do is a full course of therapy. It's not 2, 3 sessions. It does go into progressive layers of different issues. We start at the surface. What are the traumatic events you know? Then we go a little bit deeper. What's a little deeper, we're asking the subconscious to identify some stuff that they didn't consciously identify at first. Then we start going into the core issues, you know, not good enough, unworthy, difficulty in the relationship with my mom. So some people do just a few sessions, 3, 6, 8, 10. Others will go much deeper, much further, because with healing work, healing comes in layers. You can address a few things, and then all of a sudden, your soul is going to make you aware of something that you've been holding a lot deeper. It's going to surface because now you're ready. So some people will do, say 6 sessions, 10 sessions, and then they'll take a break, which I encourage. I tell people, if you're feeling good, if the work has felt effective, ride that wave. The intention, when you are addressing trauma specifically, and I don't know anybody in recovery who doesn't have trauma, just going to say that clearly. I want people to learn to be okay. When we have a lot of trauma, we know how to be traumatized. We know how to have a disrupted nervous system. We know how to live in that old familiar of anxiety and stress and pressure. When they start sleeping through the night, when they start feeling less anxiety, when they start noticing they're responding and not reacting and they're more grounded, I'm like, ride that. As long as you can, practice being okay. You spent a lifetime being not okay. The whole intention of this body of healing is so that you can get okay. And when they get there, there's no greater honor or fulfillment in my entire life than when people get to that place. Because I'm like, yeah, I got to be a part of that. It's cool. And some
This is
come back
so
later when there's deeper layers.
Yeah, yeah. This is so cool. Like I said, we talked about this, but I met you at that meeting. There's something in your spirit. There's another guy that I have on this podcast. His name is Brad L. He lives out in California, and to me, I go to him all the time to see. He's a spiritual mentor to me, right? I absolutely love him, and I love. Um, I know people who like bite their nails too. Does hypnotherapy work for that sort of behavior?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, again, right, like we spoke about before, there's layers, right? Smoking, nail biting, skin picking, things like that. All of those have deeper layers of trauma and history as to, why do I have this nervous habit? Why do I have this anxiety or this stress? What's underneath it? So we can clear around any issues specifically, and it may shift. But if you get into the deeper layers of, why do I have this issue, it will certainly shift.
Okay, let's go to the fourth pillar. The fourth pillar in the book Hitchhiking into Recovery, A Journey of Connection, Healing, and Hope is connection to a divine alignment, right?
So there's 4 pillars. The third pillar is daily divine alignment. The fourth pillar is service. And they're not really in any specific order. So the divine alignment pillar is, in my walk, speaking to other people in 12-step recovery, it's step 11. I have a very active step 11. I've had it for 24 years. I've had the same sponsor for 24 years. And she was really adamant when I met her that this is a requirement if you're going to work with me, a daily step 11. And that evolved into such a cool daily practice of, thy will, not mine, be done. The third step prayer, whatever language you want to use to say, look, I know I have free will. I know I can succeed. I know I can fail. I know I can, surrender, and I know I can get in my way. But if in that quiet time in the morning, and I do ascribe the morning, if I align myself with the divine and I ask the divine, could you please step in and align divine will with my free will, I can guarantee I'm going to have a better day. If there's anything that I believe about divinity and spirituality, it's that God wants me to be happy, joyous, and free. I do believe that. And when I'm aligned, I'm a lot more close to that, even in the chaos, you know? It's written in the book that there can be serenity amongst the calamity. I have that, especially on those days when my commitment has been honored, and there's very few days that I miss. I love my morning quiet time.
So talk a little bit more about your morning quiet time, like for people who maybe haven't started that journey yet, of having quiet time. And I have some in the morning, but for me, it's more in the evening. I'm more of a night owl, and it just seems to work better for me that way. But talk about what what for you kind of like if there's a particular literature read, if there's particular verbiage you have, if there's a particular room you have, kind of give some people some practical tips on that.
Sure. So I do tell people to kind of devise their own ritual, and my ritual started out years ago. I would read like the 24 hours a day book, and I'd light a candle and I'd have my coffee, and then I'd go through PRAY. And that acronym is P is praise. I state what I'm grateful for. What am I thankful for? R is resentment. Where am I struggling with resentment at someone else or at myself? And I ask the divine to help me with that resentment. A is ask. This is asking to be guided through the day, to help me be of highest service in the day. It's also asking to, keep my children safe, bless my neighbor who, they lost their daughter and help them manage that grief. And, bless my client who's struggling or my friend who struggles to get sober. Y is yield. And to me, that is surrender. I use the third step prayer in mine. I say it with a great deal of intention and clarity when I state it in my quiet prayer time. Um, and my ritual today, it's evolved. Like in the beginning, I would read something and close my eyes. I do the PRAY. I didn't really sit with it and do the meditation part very well. But today, um, now every morning, I find a frequency music track on YouTube. I'm a huge fan of frequency tracks. I love
What
the
is that? A
different,
frequency track?
yeah, frequency music is, there's a lot more science coming around this now today about how sound healing is, it's ancient. It's been around for millennia and it's incredibly effective. So there's a few tracks that I really love, but I like to play around and find new ones, and YouTube is free. So I like a lot of the different hertz, like 963 is like a divinity hertz, 528 is like a health physical hertz. There's tracks that have them mixed and have different numbers. So I listen to frequency music. I close my eyes, I align. Now I start with yield. I start with the third step prayer in the morning, but I still go through the others, the praise, the resentment, the ask. And then sometimes I just sit in that quiet and really embrace just not just focusing on my breath, but the frequencies, where my vibration is, how am I connecting with the divine, and at how rich is that connection for me today, and what am I intending for when I open my eyes? And the goal intentionally is to set a beautiful foundation of divine alignment, my will and thy will, for the whole day. We talk about a daily reprieve in 12-step meetings. So I do believe that that first breath of the day, that respiration, that is re-spirit. So I want to re-spirit at the beginning of my day, set that foundation of spiritual oneness, and then go about whatever the day is going to throw at me, because, life doesn't stop happening.
Okay, so I know that you're going to have days, right, where you really get thrown for a loop. Maybe something upsetting happens, um, and it causes more. Maybe there's a job issue, maybe there's a family issue, maybe there's a finance issue, maybe there's a medical issue, right? So when you come to those and it comes time to do the morning meditation and it becomes time to try to stay in the moment and such, Is it harder on those days, or have you just been doing so much practice that it just kind of flows for you? I know for me, it's harder, right? And that's kind of why I'm asking. I'm hoping I can pick up some tip or trick.
Oh gosh, I love this question more than any question you've asked me. For me, my relationship with the divine, and I call it the divine or spirit because I've explored so many meanings of that name, is my closest relationship in my entire life. And when life is heavy, when I'm worried about my daughter, or I'm worried about the client, or, you know, something in my life feels chaotic. Like right now, it's overwhelming. I have a lot of clients. I'm writing a book. I've got a membership. I'm, I just got married last year and I love my husband and I love our time together, but I'm overwhelmed. And that quiet time really helps me calm my nervous system and it allows me to talk to the divine and say, look, I'm stressed and this is heavy and this is a lot. And there's times in that moment, in that quiet time where I'll just cry and I let myself be as sensitive as I want to be. I let myself be worried about somebody and ask God to take that. Or I let myself be angry about a situation that I have resentment with. And usually when I'm resentful and really angry, I cry. So it is the place where I feel the absolute safest with my emotions, with my raw truth, with my divinity. So it's just a really valued place. So when there is chaos in the world, um, I can't always stop everything to go and get quiet, but I am more grounded and almost always much more responsive than reactive because of this practice. And I do trust that when I get that chance to go get quiet and really connect, that I can do it in a split second. Do I do 30-second spots during the day? Yes, I do. Do I need sometimes 3 minutes? Excuse me. I'm going to go to the ladies' room. Yes, I do. I know when I need to go and reground, so I'll do it.
I love that phrase, more responsive than reactive. That should be a goal for all of us, right? Okay, and then the fourth pillar there was service. Am I right? Do I remember that
Yep.
right?
Oh, yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about the fourth pillar, service.
Well, you're doing it, John. You are offering a great service in the world to carry the message of recovery to anybody who needs it, to anybody who wants it. And I can guarantee, without even asking you, that you've received emails and text messages and hugs galore to thank you for what you do in the world. And you cannot say without, you know, I know without any question that that has brought you a great deal of fulfillment and connection and reward to knowing you're living a good life. So my service started in 1988 when I was asked to be on the Narcotics Anonymous hotline. I was 30 days sober when I started taking phone calls. I still to this day work a hotline. It's called something different, but I still take phone calls. I have a shift every month that I still pick up. And I absolutely love my service work. My entire life is based in service. I help people heal from trauma and recovery. I love my volunteer work. I like to go to meetings and be one of those positive voices in the room. I still sponsor women. If my kids raise a hand and say, hey, mom, I jump, it is, I'll admit, this is the one area of my life where I've had to really look at my balance. Do I honor myself enough? Do I give too much? In some cases, that answer is a very quick yes, I do. Um, do too much, give too much. In other cases, I've worked really, really hard to understand what does it mean to love and honor who I am. And I don't want to pour from an empty cup. So I do it better than I ever have. You know, I take better care of myself than I ever have. I do honor my quiet time. There's certain things that are non-negotiable that have firm boundaries so that I am capable of being of service in the world in a big way because it does fulfill me. It does reward me.
An active step 11. I love that phrase. All right. So, what else do you want to say about the book? I know we talked about the pillars. What else do you want to say about that book, or anything else that you want to say to the listeners out there that may be on your heart?
Well, one, this book was probably one of the greatest endeavors of my life. It was hard to write, um, and yet at the same time, it just poured out. So it's book one in a series, and this book is about recovery. The next book will be about quiet time and spirituality. The book after that will probably be about trauma healing. And there's several topics that I want to write about, but I didn't want to write a 1,500 page book. So this book is a memoir. It's my story of what was it like growing up in my family. What is my own awareness of why I have struggled with alcoholism and addiction. It is my story of finding recovery and how I developed the awareness of these four pillars. And, a lot of it is what we all talk about in the rooms. What was it like? How did I get here? And what's it like now? Simply spoken, but it was a labor of love. And it releases this year, October 2025. And it's just a great honor that it's finally coming out into the world. It's a little intimidating to share your story with, the whole world. I'll be there. I'll be honest about that too. I'm kind of vulnerable about it, but it's exciting nevertheless. And if it helps one or two people, which I know that it already has because I've had an advanced release copy that I've sent to a couple of people. And I'm really honored that I got to write it.
That's so cool. Okay, tell people about. So I know there's going to be people listening to this saying, how do I get in touch with Paula? First of all, if you can't remember any of this, write me at John, at soberspeak.com. I'll get it right on to Paula. But tell them about your website, how to find the book, what kind of, I think you do group hypnotherapy now as opposed to one-on-one. And tell me all about that.
So, paularobbins.com. Robbins with two B's is one of my websites. And on paularobbins.com, you'll find the book, you'll find access to my membership. I have a membership in which I do group hypnotherapy sessions twice a month, all of my guided meditations, all of the replays. The cellular release replays are exclusive to members only. So I do a lot of stuff with the membership. And you can find the book at paularobbins.com. You can find access to the membership. It will also lead you to Sunlit Pathways. My main website is sunlitpathways.com. And
Sunlit pathways, right?
yes,
Sunlit.
correct. And that leads you to either one-on-one sessions with myself or one of my other practitioners for cellular release therapy or other types of one-on-one sessions. It leads you into the group. You can do just the group hypnotherapy sessions for a fee, or you can join the membership. And in the membership, the group hypnotherapy sessions are included. And then there's a digital library of meditations and courses and writings and things like that.
And like I said, I did that one before we met last time. It was called Breathe in the Light. I can highly recommend that one. I will say that. So, well, Paula, and we'll put all the links to that in the show notes for somebody who wants to click on that. And Paula, this is it's been lovely. Both of these last couple sessions that we were able to spend time together. And I'm so appreciative of your time. You have such an incredible spirit. And I hope that your book does fantastic. And, for those listening, I know this is a little coloring a little outside of the lines from what I usually do, but you know what? I got to keep this interesting for me. I think Paula has a lot to offer, and I absolutely love these last two sessions. So thank you for joining me. Okay.
I'm so honored to be here. Thank you so much, Don. Really, I appreciate you helping me carry this message forward.
God bless you. All right. So I'm going to read from page 164 of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous. It says, abandon yourself to God as you understand God. Admit your faults to Him and to your fellows. Clear away the wreckage of your past. Give freely of what you have. through service, and give freely of what you find and join us. We shall be with you in the fellowship of the Spirit, and you will surely meet some of us, like me and Paula, as you trudge the road of happy destiny. May God bless you and keep you until then. Once again, Paula, thank you so much. God bless you.
You too, John. Thank you.
Once again, Paula, thank you so much for spending time with me. I really enjoyed that. You were one incredible human being, and I'm so glad you took time out of your schedule to spend it with me. And I want to mention this also, that Paula was gracious enough to me to share with me a few of her guided meditations that she has. And I've been using those every single night. And I got to tell you, they are out of this world. They literally kind of out of this world. They put me into a space that is it's relaxing. It's invigorating at the same time. It gives me focus. It gives me clarity. And I cannot thank Paula enough. It has been absolutely fantastic. So thank you. All right, everybody. Now, and as I mentioned earlier on the beginning of this episode, if you have, I'm putting the notes, excuse me, I'm putting the links to everything that Paula talked about in the show notes. And if you don't know how to access show notes, like I said, just email me, John, JOHN at soberspeak.com, and I will get you in touch with Paula. Now, on to a little bit of listener feedback. Mickey writes in and he says, episode 415, inquiry. Is it inquiry or inquiry? Inquiry, right? Anyway, good day. He says, thank you for these podcasts. I love them and your service. Question: how can I get insight into the 12 daily prayers Dave mentions in the episode? Can you help or pass this on to or pass it on to someone who can? Mickey. Well, Mickey, as you know, I responded to that, copied Dave on the email, and he will get you in touch with those soon, I am sure, when he's not traveling. He travels quite a bit. And there was another gentleman who wrote in this week. Oh, gosh, I'm not looking at it right now, but I know he was interested in Dave's workshops that possibly he was going to be having in the Seattle area, which I think he mentioned on one of the episodes we recorded with him. And I also got him in touch with Dave. Dave has been a very popular guy on the podcast. Dana writes in, and this one's called Brenda J. God and Grace. So she went back and listened to one of my episodes. It's called Brenda J. God and Grace. And she said, hey there, I am, by the way, Dana, that could be a guy. I'm not sure. Dana could be a guy, could be a girl. Anyway, Dana says, I am trying to get the contact information for Brenda J. as I would like to bring her into Idaho to speak. If you could pass on my info contact to her, I would be forever grateful. Dana. Well, Dana, be forever grateful, because as you know, I passed you on her information, and good luck. And you know what, I'll let you know, if you're out there and you're listening and you want to bring one of the speakers into your conferences, just like Dana, and you want to write me, John at john@soberspeak.com, and get me in touch, or you want me to get you in touch with these speakers, whoever they are. Most all of them, I have their contact information. When 99% I do, and I'm more than happy to pass that information along. By the way, before I start this last one here, this last piece of listener feedback, if you are not following us in Facebook, we're at Facebook. We're in Facebook, the application. You go to Facebook and you look up Sober Speak Secret Group. And you ask to get on in the group, and we will let you on in. If you're not following us on Instagram, Cassandra posts so many great Instagram post in there, you want to be following us, it's at SoberSpeak, all one word. And the same thing with Pinterest, that's at SoberSpeak, all one word in there as well. And I think we're somewhere on, no, I guess that's it. I guess we're on Twitter or X, whatever it's called nowadays, but I just don't really get in there very much anymore. We should really do a TikTok thing, I guess. I don't know. I'm just kind of beyond social media. Anyway, Suzanne writes in and she says, "Hi, John. I am in the United Kingdom, West Midlands. I came into AA 10 years ago as a mom of 2 daughters and a husband, married 20 years, with a very serious drink problem, which led me down a path of total destruction. By the time I reached AA, my life had become completely unmanageable. I functioned as far as I managed my job. In as far as I managed my job at the bank and made it into work every day, kept the house clean and tidy, took and fetched the kids from school, but found myself unable to go a single day without a drink. Driving on a regular basis under the influence, my drinking was starting earlier. My eldest was aware and very upset and embarrassed by my drinking, and my husband at the time was fed up with coming home to a drunk wife who could not stay awake past 7 p.m. and was terrified of my drinking and driving. He'd had enough. I'd had enough, and I was on the verge of losing them all. I felt suicidal. I had a box of antidepressants in my hand. I wanted to take them as I had enough of not being able to stop drinking and feeling exceptionally sorry for myself. I didn't take them. I logged onto my laptop and I looked up AA. I reached out and was responded to very quickly and put in touch with a lady who spoke with me the next morning. She showed me no judgment and shared her experience, which I immediately resonated with. She was just like me. From that one conversation alone, I felt like a weight had been lifted. This was Saturday morning. She'd arranged for another lady to meet me outside my local AA meeting group on the Monday evening, Saturday, and Sunday. I felt like I was in a bit of a trance and kept saying to myself, "Oh my God, I am an alcoholic," over and over, like awakening an acceptance I had not felt before. I stopped fighting it. During my first meeting, I cried all the way through. I was made to feel so welcome. I actually thought I'd stumbled into the wrong room. Well-dressed men and women chatting and laughing. I felt broken and very fearful. But as I said, I was embraced as a newcomer and listened to the reading. The main share, which was a lady whose circumstances and story were very similar to mine. So it was easy to listen to the similarities, not the differences, which I was advised to do. I was the only newcomer that evening, and members of the group shared towards me. I couldn't believe the passion, and I want to help me from each of these members. I knew I was in the right place. I felt a burden being lifted. I remember at the end, we all had to hold hands and say the Serenity Prayer. I'd not heard of it before, so I just closed my eyes and listened. I attended as many evening meetings in my area as possible and was soon engaged with the program. Over time, I got to know those familiar faces and utilize the numbers passed to me by the ladies in the meeting. I continued to attend regular meetings, and I got myself to a good sponsor, and I worked the 12-step program. Over time, I was elected treasurer of my local group, carried out main shares when asked, then became secretary of the meeting, chairing each week. This was over a period of 8 years. However, during this time, I became involved with someone in AA. Got a feeling I know what's coming up here. Someone very toxic. We developed a relationship. He dropped off his meetings quite early on, although he abstained from the drink the entire time we were together. He was, quote, sober mentally and had a serious marijuana addiction. He suffered with extreme paranoia, depression, anxiety, and had a temper. We had some good times and not so good times. He was mentally abusive. The relationship caused a rift in my relationship with my daughters, and they didn't like the way he spoke to me and acted. His marijuana smoking, and he lost his temper with them too. Thankfully, we didn't live together. He didn't work, but somehow amongst all of this going on, I progressed with my career at the bank, and I was able to support myself, and I bought a house. I was withdrawn at times. I was warned about AA embarking on this relationship with him, and he'd already gotten a reputation for latching on to the ladies. Latching onto the ladies. There's a few of those. He'd been in and out of AA for a period of 20 years. I eventually dropped off my meetings after 8 years and managed to end the toxic relationship with him. It was a bit difficult, and he kept coming back over this period until I said enough is enough. I was frightened of him, and I just couldn't do it anymore. Amazingly, I didn't pick up a drink until some 6 months later. I went on a holiday with a friend of mine. It was an all-inclusive hotel. I took my first drink. I would have vodka or rum and coke during the day, and we would lay by the pool. At this time, I began drinking wine again at home in secret, which eventually escalated into drinking every day. I met someone lovely after a year. We developed a nice relationship, completely non-toxic. He's loving and supportive, and we are very much in love. We've been together as a couple. We've been together a couple of years now. The girls love him, and we are looking to buy a house next year together. My daughters are both adults now. He also likes to drink, but I will abstain for months. He knows all about my past with AA and the previous relationship. I found myself taking a drink with him fairly early into the relationship, and he said he would not judge me, which essentially gave me a green light to continue the drinking. He tends to binge drink, and I would drink with him. However, over time, he's realized I cannot drink normally. And my girls are aware that I've been drinking and want me to go back to AA meetings. In fact, my eldest daughter came with me some weeks ago on a Saturday morning. My partner also recognized that I need help and wants to support me. Good. Abstaining from alcohol. Over the last few months, the guy I was in a relationship with from AA has been trying to get in touch with me. He is paranoid with the police, the doctors, local authorities are spying on him. My car got stolen off my driveway a few months back, which he heard about, and he thinks the police may have bugged and set up the theft of my car. I've blocked him, and he's got third parties to contact me, someone through AA, and he desperately needs me, and I can only I can help, and that's going to kill himself. And I've blocked everyone who's trying to contact me on his behalf, which will have to be orchestrated. The whole time I was with him, he threatens to kill himself, so I know it's a manipulative tactic on his part. It's put me off attending local AA meetings. I therefore thought of the decision last week that I needed to get my head back into AA meetings and thought I could do these online. I looked for podcasts and AA shares, so I thought I could listen to these on my way to and from work during my lunch hour. That's where I came across your podcast and felt much calmer listening to your interviews and shares. I felt a weight lifted again. I managed to abstain over the first days I listened, and then yesterday I picked up again. So today I'm doing whatever I can to stay sober and start again. I asked to join the group, so the Facebook group, so I could read through the posts that offer strength and hope, and we'll get online meeting, and we'll get to an online meeting this evening after work. That's my story. I've not opened up much about it before to this degree or put it into words. This is really the first time. Sorry for such a long message. Thank you for reading, Suzanne. Well, thank you, Suzanne. I appreciate it. Sounds like you got a lot going on there, and but I'm glad you're taking all the right steps. I started not to read the entire thing, but I didn't know exactly what I could cut out, so I just read the entire thing. But God bless you. Keep coming back a day at a time, and we're so glad that you're able to be part of the Facebook community. And thank you so much for writing in your story there for all of us to hear. All right, everybody. That's it. That is episode 420 in the books. God bless you. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. I take this 1 week at a time. I hope to be back next week. May God bless you until then. And in the meantime, sober on. Thank you.